What if I told you that by the time you consciously decide to click play on this audio, your brain had actually already made that decision for you, like a third of a second ago?
It is a pretty terrifying thought, honestly.
It really is. So today's in-depth exploration tackles this fascinating YouTube video transcript we received. It explores the ultimate human paradox. Do you have free will, or is your life just some pre-written script?
Right. And our mission today is to synthesize a few different fields. We're looking at neuroscience, quantum mechanics, and even ancient philosophy to figure out if you are just a biological puppet or, well, the active author of your reality.
Let's start with that whole biological puppet thread, because the video brings up a neuroscientist named Benjamin Libet.
Oh, right. His 1983 experiment.
Yeah. It was terrifyingly simple. Subjects just watched a clock and were told to press a button whenever they felt like it.
But there was a catch, right?
A huge catch. Their brain's electrical activity, a spike they called the readiness potential, it actually fired 500 milliseconds before their muscle moved. But the subjects only became consciously aware of their decision to move 200 milliseconds before the action.
Which creates a massive timeline problem for free will. I mean, obviously.
Exactly.
Because if your brain starts gearing up to move before you even know you want to move, who is really in charge here?
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. It's like your conscious self is just, I don't know, some sad PR department justifying a decision that the brain's dark mechanics already made, like 300 milliseconds ago.
That is exactly how people felt. For decades, determinists used that exact logic to argue we are just biological automatons.
Right.
But then in 2012, Aaron Scherger re-examined that data, and he realized the brain is always humming with random, spontaneous neural noise.
Wait, just random noise?
Yeah, just background noise. Scherger mathematically proved that the famous readiness potential spike wasn't some hidden, pre-made decision at all.
Oh, wow.
It was literally just that background noise building up to a threshold. And once it crosses that threshold, you act. So the brain isn't secretly plotting without you.
Phew. Okay, so we aren't just pre-programmed meat machines.
Right, mathematically busted.
But if our brains aren't perfectly predictable, what about the universe itself? Like the fundamental particles. The source transcript brings up Conway and Koken's free will theorem.
Ah, yes.
It claims that if we have free will, fundamental particles have it too. But wait, how can a subatomic particle have free will? It doesn't have a brain.
Well, it doesn't mean electrons are making conscious choices to, go to the store.
Right, of course.
What they mathematically proved is that a particle's behavior prior to being measured cannot be completely determined by its past history.
Interesting.
Yeah, if your choice of how to measure the particle is free, then the particle's response isn't predetermined by the universe's history. The script wasn't fully coded at the Big Bang.
Which perfectly brings us to the 1961 Wigner's friend thought experiment.
Yeah.
And the video mentioned this was actually physically tested in a lab in 2019.
Yes, by Massimiliano Prietti.
Right. The claim here is that reality is observer-dependent. But hold on, how can two realities be physically correct at the exact same time?
It sounds impossible.
Like if I see a coin land on heads and you see it land on tails, one of us is just wrong, right? How did Prietti actually prove otherwise in a physical lab?
So he used entangled photons, which are light particles linked at a quantum level. In the experiment, one observer measures a photon and records its state.
Like horizontal or vertical?
Exactly. But from the perspective of a second observer outside that system, the first observer and the photon are still in a combined, undetermined state of quantum possibilities.
Clearly.
Yeah. Prietti's team measured both perspectives simultaneously, and the math proved both completely different realities were factually true. Reality isn't some fixed, objective thing sitting out there.
Okay, but if reality is completely dependent on who is observing it, and there are literally billions of us constantly observing and forcing our own realities into existence, why hasn't this chaotic universe just crashed?
Well, that raises a really profound question, and it's where quantum physics shakes hands with ancient philosophy.
Like Plato.
Exactly, like Plato's realm of forms. He argued that the physical world is just a shadow of a higher perfect reality.
So there's an anchor.
Right. For a system with billions of subjective realities to not collapse into total chaos, there logically has to be a fixed external reference point.
Interesting.
A super observer, basically, or a creator existing entirely outside of our concepts of time and space, maintaining the overarching structure of all these quantum probabilities without directly forcing the individual outcomes.
Wow. So life isn't a linear movie with one set ending. It's more like a massive open-world video game.
That is a perfect analogy.
The developer coded all the billions of possible outcomes, but you actually choose which path to walk.
Yes, exactly. Because you only experience the world from your specific coordinates in space and time, you act as a localized micro-observer. Every time you make a choice, you pull one of those infinite potential paths out of the code and turn it into your specific physical reality.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? I mean, it means science and ancient wisdom actually agree here. You are not a passive prisoner of fate.
Not at all.
You're actively weaving reality with every single choice you make.
You aren't just reading a script, you're writing it in real time.
Which leaves us with this final thought to mull over. If quantum physics suggests the simple act of observation literally forces reality into existence, what happens to your personal universe when you actively change what you choose to pay attention to tomorrow?